Hi, I'm Will Howard, and welcome to St. Louis, Missouri, the gateway to the west. And the gateway arch is right behind me. It's 630 feet tall and 630 feet wide. And you can see those little itty bitty windows up at the top there. We're going to be taking a ride. You're going to go along with us and see it. We're on the mighty Mississippi, which sits right at the foot of the archway. And Donna Andrews,
yes,
Director of Public Relations, is going of what?
For the St. Louis Convention and Visitors Commission.
Okay, and you're going to tell us a little history about this.
This is the wonderful Gateway Arch. It's the tallest man-made monument in the United States. And it's a wonderful, it's the icon of St. Louis. 630 feet, stainless steel, built in 1965, and it's not just eye candy. You can actually go to the very top and look out observation windows and see the great skyline of St. Louis, and then look to the east and see the great state of Illinois. Not only is it just the Gateway Arch, but there's actually a museum of westward expansion underneath the Gateway Arch. It covers 100 years of St. Louis's history from the 1800s to 1900s. It's absolutely free, and we also have in the Museum of Westward Expansion the world's largest collection of Indian peace medals. Now we're underneath the Gateway Arch, and there's so much to do here, but I want to show this to you. This is the actual capsule, not the actual, but a replica of the capsule that would take you to the top of the Gateway Arch. It seats 5 people. It seats 5 people. And this takes only 4 minutes up, 3 minutes down, and so it's a great experience. I think kids really love it. Feels like a spaceship.
Yeah, 5 people would be kind of crowded.
Oh, it's actually doable. I've been in it. 5 people, 2 tall people sitting in the back. Make sure your tall people sit in the back.
Welcome back, folks. Take this way.
Watch your kid, Will. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I kind of feel like John Glenn.
Yeah, definitely.
What happens if you have a power outage?
Power outage has happened in the past. Very few, I can count them on my hands how many times that's happened. But everyone stays calm. They have a plan in place to get people out of the trams. Sometimes they use the emergency stairwells that we have here. But there is a plan in place to help people get out of the pod system if there should be a power failure. And it has happened recently.
Did you say recently?
Yeah, it has. It happened recently, as in I think like 3 or 4 years ago. We are looking out the very top of the Gateway Arch, and let's start with the old courthouse. That's the most prominent thing that you see right now. That's where the Dred Scott slavery trials took place. And then if you continue west, that's Keener Plaza, and then City Garden. And then to the left, you can see our beloved Busch Stadium. That's where our St. Louis Cardinals play. They're actually coming back in town. This is an exhibit area called Monument to the Dream, when riverboats ruled. St. Louis was knee-deep in steamboats in the 1800s, and a lot of activity on the riverfront. And so in this exhibit area, you just get a sight, sound, and kind of feel what it was like in the 1800s. Riverboats, knee-deep in the Mississippi River. Lots of commerce happening. Lots of polluted air. A lot of people couldn't breathe in downtown St. Louis, and they moved to the country, which is really just 5 minutes away in today's terms in Midtown St. Louis. And but St. Louis was a bustling town in the 1800s. It was rapidly growing in population, and now today we're 3 million people in the metropolitan area. 333,000 St. Louis City proper. So we've really grown from a simple fur trading village to a pretty cosmopolitan destination.
And it's still the gateway to the west.
And it's still the gateway to the west, but we want you to stay here.
This is Richard from the National Park Service. Richard, you got quite a museum here.
The museum tells the story of how St. Louis served as the gateway to the West, and all the people who were part of the expansion of the United States to the Pacific Ocean. as the United States expanded, the American Indians found that their way of life was increasingly affected. They often lost their lands, had to move to new locations that weren't wanted.
Can we walk over this way while you're talking?
There's so many subjects you could deal with in here, but all the peoples who are part of the West are represented here. The farmers who lived in sod houses, those who used stagecoaches.
So tell me about the city of St. Louis.
You know what I really like about St. Louis is that it is so family friendly and affordable. And I know a lot of destinations say they're family friendly and affordable, but can they claim that they have more free world-class attractions than any other destination outside of Washington, D.C.? No, that's because St. Louis can claim that. Our zoo is free. Gateway Arch, there's something to do underneath there free. The History Museum is free. The Art Museum is free. Science Center is free. So I think that's what draws people to
And
St.
hotels
Louis.
seem to be at a reasonable price too.
Hotels are definitely at every price point needed by travelers. So if you want something high-end, we have that. If you want something affordable, we have that too. That's the great thing about St. Louis. It's something for everyone. This is where the old village of St. Louis was erected in 1764. So we are actually standing in the old fur trading center of St. Louis, established by Pierre Laclede in 1764.
Well, that was back in wagon train days, right?
No, that was even pre-wagon train. Those were fur trapping years.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. Pierre Laclede chose the site of St. Louis. Well, he was on commission to find a fur trading village that was adequately situated at the confluence of the Mississippi and Missouri River. And so as he journeyed from New Orleans, he came up and he saw this spot, and he said, which sat atop of bluffs at that time, and it was away from the river, and in case of a flood, that would be perfect for a fur trading village. And just minutes up the river was the Missouri confluence. So he said, this is the spot. So in 1764, just south of this Gateway Arch, in that green space over there, you'll find that's where the original St. Louis village stood. And it was opportunity for people to come get their final provisions that they needed to continue their journey out west. And so that's the story behind St. Louis and how we became a great metropolitan city that we are today.
So it's a long way between here and the Pacific Ocean. So were they going overland, or were they going, of course, by boat? They were just
no. They were coming by boat up the Mississippi from New Orleans. Lewis and Clark, however, they wanted to get to the Pacific Ocean, so they continued their journey up the Mississippi River, connected to the Missouri River, and then followed it and to points beyond. And you know how that story ends.
I do. Now there was, speaking of a flood, there was a flood here in 1993. Was it?
Sure. 1993 was the great 100-year flood, and as I mentioned earlier, Pierre Laclede loved this area because it sat atop bluffs. And it kind of helped us in today's terms too, because if it weren't for those natural bluffs that we sit upon, the flood of 93, which was a historic flood, it came all the way up these steps to about the final steps. So that's a lot of swelling the Mississippi River did.
That's a huge amount of water.
That's a huge amount of water, but we were protected in St. Louis because of the natural bluffs that we sit atop.
And you also have some locks?
We have a lock system in Alton, Illinois, up the Mississippi River, and that controls the levels of the Mississippi River because it's still a functioning river. We have plenty of barge traffic going up and down the Mississippi River, transporting goods to people to points beyond. So, yeah, so it's still functioning.
But it never reached the arch.
No, it never reached the arch. And although we did have a few callers ask, was the arch underwater? Take a look. If the arch was underwater, it would be Armageddon.
That'd be. We need Noah's Ark.
That would be bad.
In St. Louis, the one beer that you know would be here for sure is Budweiser. It's been here since 1852, and we're standing. Courtney, come tell me what we got here. These are the
mashing tanks.
Okay, my microphone is right here.
Gotcha. These are the mashing tanks. This is step 2 of the process. Right after those grains are milled, which happens off campus, they're going to head into our mashing tanks. This is where we determine how light that brew is going to be. The longer that a brew is in these mashing tanks, the lighter it will be. After it's finished in these mashing tanks, directly below them on the floor below.
Can we pan down and take a look?
These are going to be our straining tanks.
So you're straining out
all of those grains.
Okay.
All of those grains are going to be strained out, and all those grains are actually going to be sold as cattle feed. Adolphus Bush actually started that 100 years ago, and we still use that environmentally friendly practice today.
And these tanks over, these are the brew kettles?
These are the brew kettles. They hold 640 barrels of beer. They can all do 12 brews a day for a total week, so we can actually do 72 different brews in one day.
So I think I heard you right on the tour. You said that any one time you have 200 million gallons?
200 million gallons beechwood aging.
That's a lot of beer.
That's a lot of beer.
Give me a history of brewing in St. Louis.
Well, in the mid-1800s, large numbers of German immigrants arrived to this area for a variety of social, religious, and economic reasons. Now, with
Potato famine.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, with this large migration of Germans to this area, soon one of the principal industries became brewing beer. Now, these Germans, they brought with them a new style of beer to the United States called lager. Now, lager requires more time and care when brewing, and it comes from the German word lagern, meaning to rest. Now, these brewers would store their beers in wooden casks in underground caverns and caves. So we know there's many caves here in St. Louis. By the mid-1800s, there were actually more than 50 breweries in this area. Today, the only remaining brewery from that time period is Anheuser-Busch.
Amazing, yes. Amazing. So this is an image of those breweries back in the 1800s?
Yeah, this is an older image of the brewery, yes.
And how many acres do you have here?
140.
It's amazing.
Yes.
How many employees do you have?
About 3,000.
So this is the largest Budweiser facility in the world?
This is the largest production-wise.
For Budweiser? For
Budweiser, yes.
Now, what did you all do, since you were started in 1852, what did you do during the 13 years of Prohibition?
During Prohibition, what we did is we obviously were not able to produce anything that had alcohol in it, so we changed over to things such as soft drinks, ice cream, and baker's yeast in order to stay alive.
Are you sure you didn't do any booze at all? Just a little
There was no boozing, I guarantee.
Now, I understand, though, the president did get, this was after Prohibition or prior to Prohibition?
It was after Prohibition ended. What we did is we threw a huge party here on Pestalozzi, and we dispatched our first ever Clydesdale hitch through these very gates and off to the East Coast, delivering some of those first cases of post-Prohibition Budweiser to key political influences.
Okay, so that's where FDR?
FDR. He got one right at the White House.
Delivered by the Clydesdales? Delivered
by the Clydesdales.
That's very classy.
Yes, it was.
Now, is Budweiser owned by a different company now? I know that when we were in Prague, we saw Budweiser over there.
We are actually owned by the Belgian brewer InBev.
And that was sold fairly recently, right?
2008.
2008. How much did it sell for?
I do not exactly know. I believe it was around $70 per share.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
That was a great tour.
Thank you.
And it's free?
Yes, it is free.
And are you open 12 months a year?
We are open all 12 months. We're only closed 5 days a year. That would be Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and Thanksgiving.
And what are the operating hours?
In the summer, which is between Memorial Day and Labor Day, we are open for tours from 9 until 5. And then during our winter hours, we are open from 10 until 4 for tours.
So what products do you brew here? I mean, you saw a lot of Budweiser bottles.
Yes.
You called that the river,
the flagship brand.
Okay, the flagship brand, but as we saw the bottles moving through, you called that?
Oh, we like to call that our lazy river of beer.
Lazy river of beer, that's terrific. Yeah. That's good. So Budweiser, Bud Light, what's your order then?
We also do our Michelob brand. We brew Beck's here now. Another big brand in our portfolio, we don't brew here, but we have Stella.
Is that an import beer?
That would be an import beer, yes.
Now, when did inborn dating start? I don't remember that as being terribly long ago. Do you?
The born on date?
Born on date, yes.
Born on date? The born on date is just it makes it easier for our customers to know how long a beer is good for. We say the born on date is the date that beer was packaged. It's good for 110 days after that.
Great. Well, thank you so much for a great experience.
You're welcome.
Downtown St. Louis is spectacular. It's got fountains and gardens and parks and lots of really cool restaurants. Now, Mike Shannon was a third base player. He was also an outfielder, a baseball hero in St. Louis, and he's been the main announcer for all the Cardinal games since 1972. We're going to check it out. We're with Matt Krasinski. You're the general manager here?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been general manager?
About 6 months now.
6 months?
Yes.
It's a spectacular restaurant.
It is.
We Googled it and we inquired. We always want to go into one restaurant, and then everybody was pointing here. Why is that so?
Rich history. Mike Shannon's a St. Louis native, a local. He won a couple World Series with the Cardinals. Has been the voice of the Cardinals for over 40 years now, and he is like the hometown hero who made it big. This is his restaurant. He's had it owned for about 25 years.
25 years. So that's why we see all these pictures here, and baseballs.
Correct. Mike's personal collection. In this baseball collection, there's presidents, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, celebrities. He's got anyone he meets, he always stocks up on his collection.
That's great. That's super. What's your specialty? What's in terms of food?
We're a steakhouse. We're known for steak and seafood, but mainly steaks. We have a great chef. He's got so many interesting twists on what he does with food. He has bacon and eggs on top of steaks. He has Cajun shrimp on top of steaks.
Now, you're located right in the heart of downtown. You're on Market Street near Broadway?
We are actually just, we're a block and a half north of Busch Stadium, where the Cardinals are. Go Cardinals. We love the Cardinals here. We're at 7th and Market. So we're just a couple blocks west of Broadway and about 4 blocks west of the St. Louis Arch.
I also see that you have a great sports bar.
We do.
You got a minute to show us?
Yeah, let's go check it out.
Okay, good. Now, this is your sports bar.
This is it right here.
And
yes,
this you've had this for 25 years?
Well, this location's been here for 6 years.
Okay.
We've recently located, and I say recent because 6 years really isn't that long. So we were actually just across the street at 7th and Chestnut.
But you're still right beside the stadium.
Right, but when the stadium moved, we moved closer to it.
Cool. It's a great location, right on the corner.
Very nice.
Okay,
nice.
so and you have a extravagant wine list?
We have a great wine list. Just won best wine list in St. Louis, actually.
Can I?
So, if you wanna, here, if you can drink this, you can have it all.
No. This is a private label.
Yes.
For Mike's.
This is Mike's own private collection. He's got his own label on his wine, so we're excited about that. It's going great. We have an extraordinary wine list.
I understand an extraordinary wine room. Can we see that?
Yeah, let's go check that out.
Okay, all right.
Sounds good. Here's the wine room right here. This used to be the old bank vault here, so we still have the door intact.
It's cool.
Let's go check out the room.
Must be some valuable wine in here.
There is very much so. This is where we keep all our private collections, some of Mike's own personal collection, and some of our best customers.
What's the most valuable bottle that you have in here?
Our most valuable in here right now would be this Bryant family right here.
2004.
2004. This goes for about $1,200 on the wine list.
Won't be trying that tonight.
Here, try it out.
No.
Let's take it all.